What common myth can be disproved in seconds? Pulling a fire alarm does not, in fact, activate the sprinkler system in most scenarios. Certainly not indoors, at your school, your home, or any indoor commercial establishment. And you can prove it by pulling the fire alarm. This sounds like a trap, but it's the only way to disprove the myth in seconds. There's a company fire alarm pull 8 feet from my desk. Stop tempting me. That KFC is no longer allowed to use the word chicken because of some government mandate. If you go to their website, the word chicken is everywhere. Oddly specific but easily proven. Wahey. If you enter a pin backwards at an ATM, it summons the police. My pin is a palindrome. Edit. Everybody in this thread is assuming that my pin is only 4 digits long. My pin is much longer than that. I love my credit union. They let me choose the length of my pin. It's 8008, isn't it? I gotta change my pin. That's the pin for my luggage. I'm surrounded by assholes. We can only taste certain tastes on specific parts of our tongue. Just put something sour on different parts of your tongue. You will always be able to taste it. I always took it as some parts of your tongue are more sensitive to different flavors. This is true. Well, from what I've learned in the last 2 years at least, there are higher concentrations of taste receptors on different parts of the tongue, but they are present throughout as well. Edit. Higher concentrations of different taste receptors. There are higher concentrations of taste receptors on different parts of the tongue, but they are present throughout as well. For some reason I read that as taco receptors. Anything by 5 Minute Crafts. Check out how to cook that on YouTube. Have you seen the video where they seem to have found the person behind 5 Minute Crafts? Just shows that YouTube doesn't care about its users at all. Edit. Accidentally wrote 3 Minutes Crafts. I haven't yet. What do you mean by that? They tried to find information about who is putting so much dangerous content out there, and seemed to have found where it's coming from. But they knew it's not very trustworthy, as the birth date of the guy in question was apparently in 2011 or something. People say the water in pools turns red if you pee in. You can prove the opposite within seconds. Even if it did, your total amount of pee is hardly enough to even show up visibly in a pool. And even more importantly, if this invention did exist, no pool owner would ever use it. They'd literally have to drain the pool all the damn time. If that was the case, that would be so expensive. In addition to that, chlorine kinda dissolves all the pee. That is why you can smell chlorine in pools. It's the chloramines you smell. The smelly pool needs shock to break down the chloramines, according to my lifeguard chemistry course. That Redditors understand what disproved and in seconds mean, or myth. That you can die by holding your breath. You're only gonna pass out and begin breathing again at it. For everyone trying to get technical, you really don't think you can pass out in seconds from holding your breath. If you hold your breath hard enough with enough pressure, you definitely can. When I was a kid, my mom would tell me that my dad died because he forgot to breathe. Like literally just casually forgot to inhale. He apparently died from a car accident, and my mom was just messing with me or didn't want to go into details. She was kinda traumatized, I think. I believed it for a pretty long time and even told a lot of other kids about it. Too late to clarify it to them now though, lol. Edit. Guys, don't be mad at my mom, haha. The most damage this has done is that I felt silly after I realized dying by forgetting to breathe was not a thing. In fact, I kinda laughed when I realized, cause it was such a silly thing to believe. I actually evaded the questions a couple of times at first, like she didn't want to talk about it. But I was too persistent, cause kids are tactless, so she probably just said the first thing that came to mind. Personally, I feel like she didn't want to get too emotional in front of her kids, so she answered with something silly. I remember just being glad I could have something to tell people who ask me about my dad. Also, after I grew up, my mom's been pretty open with the important things, including how my dad really died, so all's fine. I hope she wasn't messing with you. That's kind of a dark thing to joke about. If someone told me that when I was a kid, I would spent my whole childhood being paranoid about forgetting to breathe. Like I don't worry about that already. Mom does not have eyes on the back of her head. You can tell by jumping on her back and pushing up her hair. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. I hadn't thought about it all morning until just now. Edit. Man, you guys jerk off a lot. And I thought I was bad. Men think about sex every 8 seconds. Fact, actually just statistical error. Men think about sex twice a day on average. Sigmund Freud, who lives in Vienna and thinks about sex 500 times per second is an outlier and should not have been counted. This made me laugh so hard. I study psychology and Sigmund Freud always seemed like a sexually frustrated pervert to me. Based solely on how much he was obsessed with people wanting to fuck their mothers. I believe that he wanted to fuck his mother. Exactly. In my language I'd call him a opgefokt typhusvenge. Microwaves eat from the inside out. Get anything microwavable. Put it in for 30 seconds. Note the scalding hot outer layer and still frozen center. False. Microwaves are actually sentient beings and do this to assert their dominance. A myth is a female moth. Funny man here. Another easily disprovable myth. That blood is blue before it hits oxygen. This is my most hated myth. There are so many obvious ways to disprove it, most prominently being the fact that one of the purposes of blood is to carry oxygen around the body. One of the argument would be, but if you look at your arm's veins, they're veins, nor arteries. So the blood already gave the oxygen. That's why it's blue. If you look deep enough you'll see the big red artery, but they're buried, so you can't see them with the naked eye. Also that's part of the answer. Deoxygenated blood is darker. Still red but darker, so it would be harder to see the red light. Sure, but then you could reply that the radial artery is 0.5 centimeters below the skin, easily visible and palpable, appears blue, but is arterial. Then you could ask if they've had blood drawn ever. Blood draws are from veins into airtight syringes and yet still red. This was the one that finally convinced me. I have had teachers, friends, publications, etc. tell me one way or the other that blood is red or blue when it is not saturated with oxygen. But when a nurse told me that blood draws come from veins and the blood is red in the syringe, I smacked myself for being so dumb to ever believe otherwise. That if you get jizz in your eye you go blind. Can confirm. This is a myth. It just feels like you're gonna go blind, haha. Masturbating makes you blind. Can be disproved in seconds. Poor op. Op is fine. Poor ops so. There's been a list of coronavirus tips going around Facebook that says, among other things, that the virus dies at a temperature of about 26°C/ATF and you can kill it in your throat simply by drinking hot drinks. If that were the case, it wouldn't be spreading inside of 37°C/98. 6F human bodies. That water only goes down a plug hole a certain way in your hemisphere, unlike others in this thread like the world is flat and the hair growing commented can actually be disproved in seconds. Just go to a sink near you and try it. Chances are it will go down the same direction every time, but that's because of the shape of your basin, not the present but infinitesimally minute force of the earth's spin. If you're not convinced, try on a range of different sinks. Or try gently pushing it the other way at the start. The Simpsons episode where Bart does this, and the myth works always irked me. I'm glad you mentioned that, Simpsons, cause my first thought was they didn't normally get stuff wrong like that. Flat Earth. Lie down on a beach and watch the sunset. Then stand up and watch it again. The only way that's possible is if the horizon changes, based on the angle of your sight, which is only possible if the earth is round. This is a great tip for getting your money's worth on sunsets. That the human jaw is capable of biting through your finger as easily as a carrot, but your brain won't let it. Alright, who's gonna try this one? Just put a carrot and a finger in your mouth at the same time and bite. It'll hurt a little, but you'll feel the carrot snap first. The moon landing's pictures show all shadows in said pictures, produced by the sun's light, as parallel. That is, all shadows have the same exact angle and intensity. Only the sun can make parallel shadows from that distance and radiance for way back in 1969. Edit. Point is, moon pictures cannot be accurately replicated without shadows looking off. Back in 1969. We can still carbon date those pictures, probably sitting somewhere in a museum, to prove the photos are aged 51 years and therefore authentic. Nowadays, way easier to falsify using photo editing software, but they'd still be new pictures. Not all shadows. At least not visually. Mythbusters did a great episode on it though, and demonstrated that the shadows that appear to not be parallel are actually caused by bumps and dips in the ground, creating optical illusions. Very nitpicky, I know, but it's technically not accurate to say that the pictures show all the shadows as parallel. The earth is flat. That girls don't fart? I once thought, why didn't I hear a single girl fart? Guessed they do it secretly. Myth can be disproven within seconds if you hang out with my sister. That carrots are good for your eyes. Gotta say, took my glasses off to wear carrots and it definitely didn't work. You're doing it wrong. You need to stab the carrots into your eyes. You lied to me. That a duck's quack doesn't echo if you have a duck and are somewhere with an echo. Mythbusters tried this, but the duck didn't like quacking in the no echo booth. It did quack, but not when they had their sensitive machines listening. But when they took it out of the booth, it started quaking and it definitely sounded different to the ear from the small amount of quacking it did in the echo-proof booth. You can see the Great Wall of China from space. Just go to Google Maps and choose a satellite view. You can't. Punch a shark in the nose, it'll leave you alone. As you slowly move, you'll just tap its nose. Then you lose yours. It won't always stop it, but gouging its eyes out and hurting its Jacob sensors, or whatever they're called, is about the best thing you can do other than pray for survival. Gills as well. Or jamming your thumb in its butthole. Don't do that. It likes it. Vaginas get loose from sex. Some sick people put drugs in children's bag every Halloween. Literally no. Even if they are, it's for them. No one would give away hundreds of dollars worth drugs for free. That camels have water in their humps. It would be a very messy 5 seconds to prove this one. Bring a towel. Don't forget to bring a towel. Shaving hair does not make it grow back thicker and or darker. If it did, every adult man would be walking around with black tree trunk thick hairs on their face. Edit. I don't understand why I'm getting so many replies asking how to disprove this in seconds. Your eyes. Look at people. Should be pretty easy to find one. On the Google works too. Just literally look at any person who has ever shaved. Do any of them have giant thick black branches of hair growing out of their face, legs, back, or top of their damn head? No? Then boom, proved in 5 seconds or less. I think the failure people have with that one is, you probably haven't finished maturing when you first start shaving. It is coincidence that you will have more hair on your face at 25 instead of 18. First time I've personally seen someone state this connection. Time. Folks, the answer is almost always the passage of time. Shaving. Time. Dubious nuclear. Time. The one common variable for everything. Time. Anything on Rachel Ray's 30-minute meals. Even with everything prepared in advance the way she did it, the closest I could get was 45 minutes. Shit tasted pretty good, though. That essential oils cure sickness. I've tried using them to help me focus before, and not even that worked. People seriously don't understand history anymore. People literally quarantined in the past to stop the spread of sickness, and made medicine from stuff that isn't an oil. Edit. For all of you telling me to disprove it in seconds, I'm going to poison a person with peppermint oil. The essential in essential oil stands for having the essence of the thing it's made of. So lavender essential oils have lavender essence. They aren't essential in the same way sleep or food are. There was a till not long ago I read, and it made me realize why so many people think of them like that. They aren't essential. They have essence. I took that as a given and hadn't made the connection that so many people think essential means indispensable. There goes yet another bit of my quickly disappearing reserve of faith in humanity. That blood is blue. I have a pocket knife so. Vampires can be killed by exposure to sunlight. As a soulless ginger I imagine we are closely related to vampires. I can confirm that sunlight doesn't kill us. It's simply horrible, annoying and painful. That men and women have a different number of ribs. That caramelized onions can be cooked in 5 minutes.